Warning: some viewers may find this disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hello everyone, Yonstar here, and I've never been that great at making friends. I never really understood other kids, and they didn't care to understand me. I tried to be as friendly and palatable as possible, but there was always an invisible barrier between me and other people. I know the name of this barrier now, but that's a story for another day. When I was 8 years old, I noticed that there was another kid my age across the street. My sister tried to warn me about the bad vibes she was getting, but I didn't listen. One day, while I was playing in the front yard, she started talking to me and introduced herself as Eve, not her real name by the way. From that day on, I would go outside to play and hang out with Eve. I was allowed to go over to her house where we'd talk, play games, and collect snails from her neighbor's yard. But despite all that, she was showing immediate red flags. For instance, she told me about all the different types of kissing, which I found interesting, until she tried to pressure me into kissing her. As an aside, I am bisexual and I've dated a girl before, so it's not a problem that she wanted a kiss. The problem was that she was getting mad at me for saying no. I didn't like her like that, we'd just met. I managed to get away without kissing her, but I felt weird afterwards. Sadly, this wasn't the first time someone made me feel that way, so I just brushed it off. The next day, we were supposed to have a sleepover at her house. I came over that morning and I loved her house since it was much bigger than mine. I met her older sister, who I think was an adult, and she was very nice. I don't think I met her brother, but we did go into his room, where he had a big poster of two girls kissing. I asked Eve what that was, and she said, "Those are lesbians." I had to ask my sister what that meant when I got home. Anyway, we went up to her room, and I was scared of going up to the top bunk of her bed, since I'd never been on a bunk bed before. When we were up there, she told me that she knew... how do I put this? She knew how to do adult activities, and she tried to pressure me into doing those activities with her. Considering we were both 8 years old, that was very concerning. I really didn't want to, and I was getting more and more uncomfortable, especially with her door being locked, so I suggested we could do that later that night. She reluctantly backed off and we went downstairs to eat candy. We had Now and Laters, a candy I'd never heard of and haven't had since. I don't remember exactly what it was about, but she ended up getting upset with me over something and kicked me out. I went back home, disappointed that I didn't have my first sleepover, and relieved. Now, you might assume that I stopped being friends with her after this, but no. Despite my sister and parents constantly telling me to stay away from her, I kept going back. I never told them what happened, but they still hated her. I was so desperate for a friend that I kept giving her more chances, and she did not get much better. Like when she stabbed my hand with cactus needles and handed me pills that she claimed were painkillers. Or when she told me she couldn't be friends with me because she turned 9 and I was still 8, but when I turned 9, she told me that she was just lying to me. She made fun of my SpongeBob shoes after I told her how much I liked them. She tried very hard to convince me that I'd never heard of 2.5 Men for some reason, even though I knew I had. There was another girl that lived a couple houses down that was younger than us, and since she was friends with Eve, she would hang out with us sometimes. Eve told me that the girl's dad hated me for, and I quote, being too sweet, and I just believed her. In hindsight, it's probably that the dad didn't like her and she was just projecting. One time, my parents forbade me from leaving the front yard, and once they weren't looking, I went over to the other girl's house with Eve. She proposed that we play hide and seek, and then they ditched me. When I shouted out loud that I quit, they just ignored me. So I went home, where I got in trouble with my parents for leaving the yard, and with Eve for leaving her. So how did I start pulling away from her? Well, for my birthday that year, I got a unique soccer ball. It wasn't round, it was angular. I thought it was cool as hell, so I showed it to Eve. She kept insisting that it wasn't special, it was just flat. But I knew she was wrong, especially since it wasn't squishy or anything. She asked if she could borrow it, and like an idiot, I gave it to her. I waited all day for her to return it, but like you might have predicted, she didn't. I asked her about it the next day, and she said, "I tried to give it to your mom, but she didn't take it." When I told her my mom said that she didn't talk to her that night, she said that the little girl snuck into her backyard and stole it. I didn't believe her at all. Later that week, her older sister was having a yard sale. We got these monster high phones and a sweater, and my mother went over to ask the sister if she had my soccer ball, because Eve was borrowing it. She immediately retrieved the ball, and while I was happy I got it back, I was heartbroken that Eve had filled it with enough air to round it out, making it just another soccer ball. I've never been able to find another one like it. Eve was pissed that I took the ball back, and she told me that she was gonna sue me because she didn't give permission to sell that sweater. I was actually worried about this, even though she was obviously just lying again. Never did wear that sweater though. There was also the time my dog had run away, and she came over to tell me that she was gonna find my dog just to take him to the pound and get him euthanized. Just a note, as of the time I'm recording this, that dog passed away recently, so that was a hard line to read. We did end up finding him not even an hour later, but all these grievances had stacked up, and all I felt was burning hatred for this girl. She moved away later that year, and I was so relieved that I'd never have to see her again. It took me a long time to realize that Eve was abusive. It's just sad looking back and seeing how much of a hold on me she had. She hurt me, she gaslit me, she pressured me into situations that made me uncomfortable. A situation that would almost repeat later on in my life. I am very glad that I got away from her, even if it took me so long. Stay safe, everyone. Bye!